Hey y'all, hey, how you doing? I'm not feeling well. I think I have the flu, but listen, life must go on. My job goes on, being a mother goes on. I feel like shit, but you know, let's get to it. I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time now. So I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with TikTok. Listen, I'm always scrolling on TikTok whenever I'm bored right before I go to sleep. Do you guys do that? Do you guys like, for those of you who have kids and you have a busy day, do you just scroll endlessly on social media? It's like your alone time, it's my time to just, decompress. And it's always late, like at 11 p.m., and I'm just scrolling. And sometimes I will freaking fall asleep with the same TikTok video playing. And then I'll get it, I'll see it in my dreams. I'm a mess. But, there's even a term for that. These days there's a term for everything. I forgot what it's called, but it's like, we just are so tired with adulting, going to work. My schedule is I go to work and I come home, I rush home, rush to get dinner done. I try to cook more often. If I'm just tired, I will just order out. I hate ordering out, but I'll order out. And then I gotta take my little daughter a bath, get their clothes ready, make sure the older two, their uniforms are ready for school. That's why I like Catholic school because I don't have to worry about picking outfits out, but I just make sure their uniforms are clean. Um, and yeah, put my daughter to sleep. She still likes to sleep next to me, my 6-year-old. And she's, lights out within 2 minutes. That's what I like about her. And then I am so tired, and you guys know I have anxiety too. I'm just exhausted by the end of the day that I just end up scrolling, just scrolling and scrolling. So, while I was scrolling, I've been seeing this for the past month or so. There's this new trend. Everything is a trend now. I should probably get some wine. Should I get some wine, y'all? Let me get some wine. Hold on a second. All right, got my wine ready. Okay, so now let's really talk. Let's really talk some shit. Okay, so there's this trend called the trad wife trend that's been circulating on TikTok. And what it basically is, it's just being a homemaker. I don't know why everything now is a trend, is an aesthetic. It's basically being a homemaker, being what we know as a stay-at-home mom. You're just a stay-at-home mom, homemaker. Susie Homemaker. That's all it is. But now everything is a trend. So you have um these influencers now who are famous for this aesthetic, this trad wife aesthetic trend. More notably, the more famous one that I am familiar with is Nara Smith. This picture right here in my background, she's Nara Smith. I don't know if is she part Jamaican? She's or South African and white or something like that, and she's really young, and I think she has like 3 kids, and she goes viral all the time. Lately, like the last viral video she had was when she made homemade gum. She made gum homemade. I'm like, this is so ridiculous, and people are just oohing and eyeing. And there's one time she made cinnamon toast crunch from scratch, because she literally doesn't have to work per se like we do 9 to 5. She's trying to portray a lifestyle where she's all for her family, living for her family, doing things from scratch. And honestly, that could put pressure on a lot of women, young women, because most of us Americans have to work. So this whole trad wife thing, people are, I think a lot of young women, listen, I'm 40 years old and I'm divorced. Been there, done that. I have no desire for that fuck shit. I am anti trad wife. And there's also a lot of middle aged women who are anti trad wife because we've been through it. We know the deal. We know that niggas ain't shit. Okay? They will leave you high and dry with nothing. So Nara Smith is one, and there's another one called Ballerina Farm Ballerina. Let me play this video so we can watch this video. It basically is summarizing the whole stupid trad wife aesthetic, and it's honestly it's sickening to me. And I'm sorry for all of you guys who are trad wives out there. It's more often than not, I'm not saying it doesn't work for people, but more often than not, it will not work for the women. We as women are put in a state of in a disadvantaged state. It does not favor us. It really doesn't. It favors the man in a marriage. Let's just watch this video.
Internet thinks they're a plague to society.
These trad wives on social media are going to be the end of y'all. They are selling you a life and a dream that they do not even live.
In the past few months, the internet has been flooded with a surge of content where young moms and wives look and act like they came out straight out of a 1950s magazine. They are devoting themselves to their kitchen and their family, taking care of their working husband and children, while also looking extremely content and very fashionable. These are the internet's trad wives, and they are pushing the new, most ridiculed genre of content currently on the internet.
It's a
The world
genre.
became familiar with
This is
trad wives
real life.
because many of
I'm
them
sorry, let me
celebrate and
pause
promote
that.
their values through social media.
Let me tell you something. These women, especially the blonde one, Ballerina Farmhouse or whatever, I can't stand watching her because she looks like it's the blonde one that was holding all the children. They're creating this aesthetic from like basically the early what is it 20th century, mid 20th century, where you've seen women barefoot and pregnant and a child on their hips and cooking and hanging up, clothes to dry. Listen, that wasn't an aesthetic back then. It was real life. A lot of them were poor. Women weren't really allowed to work like that because they were expected to be at home. Meanwhile, you have these women, that lady that with the blonde one, she's a whole it's like she's putting on a show, a parody of how life used to be, like an idyllic life. But a lot of times, a lot of people were poor. They had multiple children, husbands at work in the coal mine all day. But it's like they're creating a show. It's like caricatures. And her husband is like a JetBlue CEO. Those people are filthy rich. But she's trying to imitate what life was like back then. I feel like she's just trying to I don't know. I can't explain it. It's like, oh, woe is me. It's like she wants to feel how it was. And you will never because you guys are whole multimillionaires. Anyways,
Social media channels like YouTube,
her,
TikTok, and
that's her.
Instagram. There, they've created communities through hashtags like hashtag tradwife and use these channels to provide tips and tricks about their lifestyle. Some of the most successful tradwife influencers have well over 1 million followers. For example, Nara Smith and Hannah Nealman of Ballerina Farm, both of which are two content creators that are
She's
probably
literally
in the very
milking a
top.
cow. Like
Smith has
you don't understand what I'm
1.5
trying to
million followers
say.
on TikTok, while Nealman has a whopping 8.5 million followers on Instagram.
See,
But
she's doing it all for TikTok, all for an aesthetic, and all to go viral. She doesn't need to milk a cow. That was done back then out of necessity, and depending on where you lived, a lot of America was rural. So those lifestyles were out of necessity.
But in addition to being the favorite meme currently, they are also being accused of something much worse. Apparently, they are all lying to us. And not only are they faking these seemingly perfect lifestyles, they're also promoting some seriously problematic mindsets. According to many, the lifestyle they are promoting can be extremely damaging and dangerous for young girls that might find it appealing because it
Thank you.
expects them to give up their careers and completely depend on their husbands. But not many can healthily live like that, except for the very select few.
To be a traditional wife, your husband is taking care of you 100%. The very fact that they are on social media means what? What class? They have social media money. Means they don't depend on their husband. Means if that husband leaves them today, they will be fine by tomorrow.
Let's look at Nara Smith as an example. She's married to a millionaire husband, Lucky Blue Smith, and is also extremely wealthy herself, as she makes a significant amount from the content that she creates and also works as a model on the side. That means that she is in no way financially dependent to her husband. And if she's acting like she is selling a completely falsified image of her life to her fans. And the reality is
Really?
sadly much,
Homemade
much
spaghetti?
worse. Let's look at the heartbreaking story of this failed trad wife who unfortunately got handed the short end of the stick.
Because when I was a 19-year-old girl, I fell in love. My Mormon faith told me that I was supposed to be a stay-at-home mom. I got married. I started having babies. I dropped out of college. I never had a career.
She continues saying that whenever she wanted to work, or even when she started her own small business, her Mormon husband reminded her that he is the man and that he should work and she should look after the home.
I would work our family business throughout the next 24 years of my marriage, but I never got paid. I didn't have a salary. My name wasn't on it.
But now she and her ex-husband have been divorced for 5 whole years. And as some expected, he left all the kids with her. But he continuously refused to pay alimony, leaving the poor mother to struggle to feed her kids and make ends meet.
And within just a few months, I was living in my car. While he made about $250,000, he has only paid alimony one time ever in the 5 years since we've been divorced. Once ever.
In the heartbreaking video, this mother reminds young girls of a very important life lesson, and that's to always be smart and careful about who they trust, because there sadly isn't anybody that will look after them better than themselves. TikTok's trad wives are under attack because the internet.
So now I'm going to go straight into this other video, and then we have a lot to discuss.
If your husband leaves you, you're going to be poor. You'll live in your car and you'll have no money for anything. You're being sold a lie right now all over the internet with these traditional housewife bullshit things. Yes, it's fun to have a man pay for your entire life, but in exchange, you have to wash his dirty socks, make sourdough bread from scratch, and run after his crying children. And you might be saying, well, I really want to do that. I would love a man to do that. I like the traditional gender roles. Do you not realize what happens if you don't have a career and you don't have a bank account once that man leaves? You are going to be 40 years old with no job, no money, and no skills. And then you have to rely on this man who currently wants to leave you, divorce you, and take everything to feed you, to give you some money, some alimony, some child support. He won't. You'll fight for it until the end of your days in court. What's the solution then? Obviously, start your own little business on the side that makes money, or make him pay you and compensate you for all this unpaid labor you're currently doing. Remind him how much it would cost if he had to pay for a therapist, mother, maid, nymph, then a virgin, housekeeper, house cleaner, house cook, and butler. Think about it, girls. Don't be dumb. If your husband leaves you, you're going.
All right. Okay. Let's get back to it. So you guys have all seen that. So basically, trad wife is an aesthetic. It's a trend. It's going viral. And it is the stupidest thing to me. I feel like people are trying to go back into time, because now we're living in times that are uncertain, especially after, the whole Panasonic. I don't want to say the word because, YouTube be YouTubing. Anyways, so now there's a yearning for yesteryear. There's a yearning for the days of old that I'm seeing, because life truly did change after 2020. But I feel like people now are it's not that we're going back to the way things used to be. People are mimicking, right? People are copying. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? They're just acting. It's not genuine. It's not genuine. Because we don't have to live like that anymore. I mean, unless you live in rural like Alabama, even certain parts of Georgia, Utah, way out there, westward ho. There's probably people, maybe Appalachian, not even. You would really have to live like that. But for the most part, people do not live, that provincial life that we used to. It just, I don't know. I'm not seeing that. But of course, we don't see everything that happens in the United States in all 50 states. But for the most part, especially these women, Nara Smith, She's married to a rich millionaire. She's from South Africa. South Africa is fairly modernized. She doesn't have to live like that. And the other ballerina barnyard girl, she don't have to live like that. It's very pretentious. It's it's not genuine, and it's a slap in the face because now we are in an age where we have impressionable young females. Like, I take my daughter for an instance. She's a preteen. She's about to be a teenager. She asked me the other day for she needs under eye cream. I'm like, girl, you do not need no damn under eye cream. She borrowed my snail mucin serum. I'm like, you don't need that. You have baby skin. All right. You don't need it. I'm always fighting her for my serum. And also I think I had some kind of serum from Good Molecules, right? It's a company, they sell facial products. I think they sell it. Is it at Ulta? Yeah, Good Molecules are very popular. Don't you know I looked high and low for the serum? My daughter took it, used it for her neck. For her neck. I said, "Are you effing kidding me? There's nothing wrong with your neck." Social media is like the influencing is to the extreme. To the extreme. I have to rein my daughter in sometimes. I'm like, you don't need that. You don't need this. She wants the perfume. She wants the Baccarat 540. She wants the makeup. And at her age, all I wore is Dolce & Gabbana light blue. That's it. I didn't even wear makeup. So these young, starting from a teenage, age, well into the early 20s, because a lot of times in our 20s our brain's not developed. So you got a lot of 21, 22-year olds, they're graduating college, 23, 24, 25. When I was 25, I thought I was grown. Now I look back, they don't know anything. So they're impressionable too, and they're on TikTok, 25, 26, 27. They're wanting to get married and live this aesthetic, this trad wife, this whole trad wife thing. And it's not a trend. This is real life. These people are bringing humans into the world all over a trend. They're dropping out of college, just like that Mormon lady said. This still is happening, dropping out or getting married early. And they're thinking they're going to just live a lovely life. They say that, it's the old adage is the divorce rate is 50%. I honestly think it's higher now. I believe it's like 60%. Many people I know are on the verge of divorce or are divorced. And most of us, I got married at 25. A lot of my friends, my peoples, we got married around the same age. Many of them have gotten a divorce already or on the verge of divorce, or some people simply cannot afford divorce. The rate would be higher if we were not living in these times, in this recession. The rate would be higher. And this is what's leading to more domestic violence. I've suffered through both a divorce and domestic violence. People have fear of leaving, a fear of the unknown. I went through that. Also cultural norms, I'm Haitian. Haitians do not generally believe in divorce. I've seen, many unhappy marriages, but they stick it out. And I was expected to do the same. I thought I was trying to stick it out. It just got way too, it went too far. And I just couldn't. So anyways, now you have, a whole bunch of women trying to emulate this whole stay at home mom thing. And yes, I understand it. A lot of people want to stay at home for their children, especially when they're younger during those crucial years. Most Americans simply cannot afford to do that. Maybe now, maybe a little more because of the whole work from home. But don't you guys know that, listen, it's RTO, return to office. Y'all didn't get the memo? They are laying people off left and right because workers refuse to return to office. You think these companies are going to give up and say, okay, well, you won't return to office. Okay, then just, work from home if you want. No, the companies never lose. They never lose. They're like, oh, is that how you want it? Okay. Lay off, lay off, lay off, lay off, lay off, lay off. This is big business, big banks. They will not lose. So we're losing that battle too of trying to stay at home with our children. So that's where this is all coming from, because now, back in the day, the man worked. Like I said before, the man worked, the woman stayed home. Women were not generally allowed to work like that. Um, then, equal rights, equal this, women's rights, that happened. Who was in charge of that? Was that the suffrage movement, Susan B. Anthony? I don't know. I didn't pay attention in that portion of social studies. But all I know is Rosie the Riveter wanted to work, and so women began working. Women began working, women began achieving higher education, furthering their careers, and here we are today. Okay. Some people, yes, some people even that I know of, they're semi work from, no, stay at home. I was semi stay at home too at one point. I was per diem because when I had my son, it's a long story. I had my son right afterwards. I got pregnant. My first two are 17 months apart. It was just too much for me because, again, I had a demanding husband. It's like he expected me to do everything, and he worked. We both were working full time. I had started my master's right after college. I had big dreams. I had big aspirations. Before we got married, my goal was to go to medical school. He said, "Okay, yeah, I support you." That was one of my caveats before I got married. He said, "Yes, I will support you." We got married. This nigga turned into a monster. He acted helpless. And mind you, too, he got diagnosed as an adult after we got married with ADHD. So that was difficult in itself. That's a whole other story. Living with someone with ADHD, like severe ADHD, I'm sorry to say, I will never ever date someone who has ADHD. It depends on how severe. I can't do it. I can't do it. Anyways, so you men change, and I'm speaking from my perspective because I'm a woman who married a man. So that's why I'm going to say men, men, men. You never know what's going to happen after marriage. Everybody wants to live this aesthetic. Niggas will turn into monsters. They will switch up on you after I do. Put children in the picture. It's a wrap. You don't know how that person can cope and handle adulting. Basically, that's what it is. So after I had the second child, I was living with someone who he just couldn't handle, sharing of responsibilities. He just couldn't. So by nature, I'm a go-getter. I'm very proactive. I tend to put a lot on my plate. That's how I am. And when I was trying to juggle getting my master's, I was pregnant, getting my master's and juggling an infant and a toddler. I said, and a husband who was acting helpless and just could not help with anything. I said, fuck it. One has to go. So I went down to part-time. I went to part-time per diem. So I went down to working like 2 days a week. I stayed at home with my kids and, I was going through the motions. It was all baby shark. It was um, teaching. I taught my kids a lot, I must admit. I taught them because by nature, again, I'm a researcher. I'm a teacher. I love to teach. I just love to enrich. So that's what I did with my kids to the point where they were like super ready for preschool. My kids were super, super ready. But I exposed them. They had music time. Then we had the letters time, counting. There was an app too. At that time, ABC Mouse just came. I think, yeah, ABC Mouse. had just started. I subscribed to that for them. They had their iPads. We would sit there. I loved it. I loved it. He went to work. I said, just go to work. I told him, just handle work. Just handle work. I'm going to take care of the house. I will take care of the kids and all that jazz. That's what I did. But then I got bored. I got bored, so I went back and finished my master's while I was home with the kids. I worked my schedule around my ex-husband's and the kids' schedule. So when he would come home, I would rush to go finish my schoolwork. I would do I just planned, I had it planned out. I would do my schoolwork. I was working on a scientific thesis. When he would come home, I would go and check up on my experiments and, all that. I was doing all that. Like I said, I love to juggle a lot. Even that became a problem. Even that, I remember I'd be with them all day. And then he would come home and I would say, can you watch them? I have to go run and do this experiment. And it would be a problem. So some men, honestly, they just cannot juggle multiple children. They can't, they can play with them. But as far as doing okay, feed them. Yeah, they could do little things, feed them. But when the kids are just kidding, like being kids and, they want this, I want that. Some men do not like that. They don't. They rather be at work. They rather come home, kick their feet up. Okay. That's what these girls, young ladies, young women don't understand. You want this whole aesthetic life. You're rushing to get married. Put some kids into it. Put some children in that scenario and be working full time. I'm telling you, depending on the dude, it's not going to fly. All right. Men want 50-50. There's a whole 50-50 thing too. But the thing is, it's never ever 50-50. I don't care what nobody says. It's never ever 50-50. When I finished my master's, I went back. Full time, but I went on an opposite shift because listen, you're supposed to be a team player when you're married. All right. You're supposed to see the bigger goal. That's what I see. That's what I always saw. Even my parents, they worked opposite shifts to minimize kids being in daycare. And a lot of people do that. They work in tandem with each other. You're supposed to just work it out and just work for the better good, not only see yourself. All right. Even me doing that, it was a problem. Everything I did was a problem. I went back full time and I was expected to always pick the kids up. I enrolled them in school. It was always on me to pick them up for the most part, like 90% of the time, always on me to cook dinner, 90% laundry. The only thing he had to do was shovel, which was a problem as well, and mow the lawn, which also became a problem. It was nothing was okay. When I tell y'all everything was a problem. Everything was a problem. And so I went back from evenings to days because he hated when I worked evenings. I went to days. Okay, and I worked for a prestigious organization and they don't play. Like you can't be tardy, you can't leave early, you can't they don't play that. But when you have children, you have to consider, listen to me, ladies, please. You have to consider snow days, especially what part of the United States you live in. If there's snow days, half days, who's going to pick them up? If there's early dismissal, who's going to pick them up? If school's canceled, who's going to pick them up? Who's going to stay with them at home? If one of your children gets sick at school, who's going to pick them up? Who's going to stay with them? And even that became a problem. My ex was like, no, you go pick him up. Mind you, he worked in the same city their school was in. No, you have to. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm like, you're right there. No, I can't. No, you need to leave. You need to leave your job. It's like he diminished my job. Mind you, I'm a whole master's degree scientist, highly educated, but he never took my job seriously. He thought it was like a throwaway job, like I worked at Walmart. So what I did, I bounced to night shift because I just literally I couldn't do it. I went to night shift, so I figured I could go pick them up. If there's no school, I would sacrifice my sleep. I would stay with them. I even went before that, I went per diem, only worked 1 day a week because I had an injury. I did everything. I volunteered at my kids' school so much. The kids were like, "You're always here." That's how much I was so involved. My kids were in everything. Sports, gymnastics, ballet. I was there cooking for them, just always present. And then I remember one day, and because I was injured too, so I had to, stop working for a bit, but I was there for my kids. We didn't have to spend money on after school. I picked my kids up right at 2 o'clock every day. We didn't have to spend money on any of that. And I remember he said, "You don't even work. You don't even contribute to this house. You don't even like bring in money." I was like, "Oh my God." Like nothing I do will ever satisfy this man. Nothing. I was at home cooking, doing everything, cleaning, the kids. It still wasn't enough. Nothing I did was enough. Finally, I said, "Fuck it. We needed more money because our savings was drying out." So I finally got a full-time night shift. I prayed for it. God gave it to me. And I remember my first time going in at night, he called me cussing me out because he had to stay with the kids and my son wasn't sleeping. He called me, "You fucking bitch, you fucking cunt." I remember driving on the highway as he's screaming at me because I went to work night shift because it was just, when I just tell you it was a shit show. I say all that to say the whole aesthetic thing and, stay at home mom. And yes, it sounds nice, but you're not considering what kind of man you marry. And not all, but a lot of these men will turn on you. They will resent you. They will resent you. They'll start picking on you. They'll literally bully you. They won't appreciate a damn thing. Go on TikTok. You'll see countless of women who are basically speaking out against the whole trad wife because that shit doesn't exist anymore. In a world where everything is 50-50, trad wife is unheard of. That's why it's trending, because it's not a thing anymore. And it's not a thing anymore because we live in a 50-50 society. People aren't making, not a lot of, listen, only the top 1 or 5%, maybe 1 to 5% of the United States make probably over 100,000, maybe. Top 10%. You still have 90%. The bottom 90% need a 50-50 lifestyle. Number one. Number two, the super high earning men, you don't think they have like egos and shit? Like they're the boss. Whatever they say goes. You want to go live under a man who thinks like that? I've heard some of the craziest horror stories. Look at the video I just shared now. I think she said her husband was making $250,000. He left her still with nothing. Left her with nothing. Listen, before I don't want to, belabor this point. Here's my suggestion and my advice and my opinion. One thing that saved me, even though my mom was a trad wife, my mom always believed to have your own stash. My mom, that's a Haitian thing too. In Haiti, they're trad wives always, but also the ladies did mache. They were all oh my God, what do you call that? They sold things. They were all little mini entrepreneurs, always. Every Haitian woman I know, including my mom. My father was the earner of the house. Like he was making like a shit ton of money. I remember when I was a child. Way back then, still making 6 figures. And my mom did not have to work that much, but she still worked, but not as much. She was with us. Um, She always would do commerce. That's what they call it, commerce, which is in Creole for the word commerce. Machin are sellers. All Haitian women would have some kind of little business that little something that they specialized in. So they basically took their hobbies and monetized it. Okay. Um, my mom would always make like bakery. My mom is a superb cook. So I remember she used to make, I think you got, what do they call them here? They're like pralines. We call them tablet in Haiti. My mom could whoop up some tablet, like I don't know what. She would always sell those. They would always sell out. I remember she always had her candy bar business, candies or whatever. My mom used to make like crochet and stuff, selling that. There was another Haitian lady I knew. She was a dressmaker. So she would always make our picture day dresses. But her husband worked. He worked at a company and she did not work, but she always had her dress business, stuff like that. So my mom always told me growing up, travail c'est liberté. She always said that to me. Travail c'est liberté basically means work is freedom. She always told me that. Work is freedom. She always ingrained in me, like you work. Like working is good for you. So I had been volunteering since I was like 12, 13 in the hospitals. Back then you'll volunteer much earlier. Like not now you got to be like 15. I was like 12, 13 volunteering at the hospital. And look at me. I'm still in healthcare. And I remember working at a crisis shelter for children when I was like 14, 15 in high school. I've always kept some kind of job, always. So that's why even throughout my adult years, I had the kids. I could never stay still. I always had to keep like a per diem job. And that's why I like healthcare, even though I can't stand my job sometimes. I like healthcare. You get a lot of flexibility. That's why people like being a nurse too. There's so much flexibility working in healthcare. So the whole time I was trying to juggle being a wife, being expected to do everything and rear children and make sure they're in activities. I always had my little per diem job, always. So that's my thing. Women out there, do not drop out of college. Do not drop out of college. And then my mom used to always say, "Éducation c'est clé." She used to always say that, which means education is key. She used to always say that. Always. Another thing is, listen, y'all need to vet out these men before you marry them. Okay, I ignored red flags galore. I can admit that to this day. We're not good at it. The thing is, a lot of us are in relationships when we're so young. So you can't be surprised when these little, red flags come out waving well into your relationship. A lot of times they're there already. We just choose to ignore it because we are in love with the idea of marriage and partnership and all that. We have to vet these men out. We really do. But if you do go through with it, you get married, another thing as a woman on the other side, listen, y'all need to get an understanding. If I were to do this again, I would fucking get an understanding with my future partner. I would get it in writing, fucking have that shit notarized in front of an attorney, like a prenup. But like I should have gotten it notarized. Like you promised, like I am going to medical school. Yes, I agree. I will support you. I want to do this. Okay, I support you. We are going to share these responsibilities. Yes, I like all of that shit in writing. All of that shit, because it could be grounds for divorce and you can bring it all out. Roll it out. Roll it out. Everything in writing. That's what I would do now. Every last thing. I'm sorry. It helps you to hold people accountable, hold each other accountable. Ladies, also, you're going to stay at home. You better fucking okay, so if you're not employed, you can't have an employee 401k. Um, what you can do, I believe you can get I don't know if you can get a pre-tax account. Get a fucking Roth IRA. Have your motherfucking husband, because your money, his money is your money. He needs to fucking fully fund that Roth IRA every year. That's your little retirement thing, because you're not paying into Social Security. I've paid into Social Security a little bit, but all those times where I didn't work, I didn't pay into Social Security like that. And I could have had more in my 401k, but I didn't. I wasn't contributing to it when I was per diem too. So you need something. All those stay at home, you better have something. Listen, retirement is no joke. Retirement is no joke. We're going to need money, y'all, to sustain our lifestyles when we're 60 and 70 and 80 and 90, if you live that long. Your husband better contribute. He better get the understanding you're at home, you're entitled to some kind of compensation because you are still working. Because if you weren't at home, you would be at work. He better get you some kind of, I don't know, Roth IRA or something, and fund it. And you can fund it too, with money if you have a little side business. Again, another thing, yes, I would get a prenup. Map out everything in that prenup. If you cheat on me, I am going to get this, this, and that. This is what's going to happen. If you abuse me verbally, emotionally, physically, this is what's going to happen. These are the repercussions. Map everything out. If our children are in daycare, or they're this, or they have, private school, the lessons, that's going to continue. Get that in writing. And after we divorce, it will all continue. Get that shit in writing. If I have to go back to court because you won't honor this, you're paying all of my lawyer's fees. Get that in writing. Y'all don't realize how many women out there are just screwed. They thought that their husband was going to take care of them, provide for them. Right? He's a millionaire. He makes $500,000. He makes so much money. We're good. No, you're not. Always keep that in the back of your mind. Yes, they say his money's your money. You got it. Listen, get that shit mapped out, because there are ways. There are ways. Oh my God. There are just so many loopholes. I heard a story of a guy who, well before divorce, he planned it out to a T. Well, he knew he was going to divorce his wife. He transferred assets into his sister's name, because the thing is, with all lawsuits and any court proceedings, there's a look back. I hope y'all know this. There is a look back. They can look back to see, when did you do this? Oh, so you transferred this 2 months ago, so that means you knew you were going to do this. No, that's not allowed. So they will still, include it in the lawsuit. I think this guy transferred assets or something well before he planned on divorcing his wife, so that when he did file for divorce, what was for both of them, or so she thought, it was only under his name. She couldn't get access to it or any claim. She had no claim to it because it wasn't in his name anymore. It was in his sister's name. That's why another point I'm going to make, get everything in both y'all names. See, that's one thing I did in my marriage. Almost everything was in both of our names. Like the big items, almost everything was in both of our names. Get everything, fucking cars, house, everything. Get your name on it, ladies. Accounts, get your name on it, ladies. Your name. My mother's name is all over my dad's shit. All over it. He makes the money, the bulk of it. Her name is all over it. Heck, my name is on their shit. Get your name on it. That's all I can say. And another thing too, the stay at homes, you need life insurance on your husband. If you don't divorce, he could die. You need life insurance. You need life insurance. You need life insurance because a lot of women, their husbands die. The money stopped from the from his job. Social Security, does that kick in upon death? I'm not even sure because someone can die young. I'm not sure when that kicks in. You need life insurance, probably over $1 million. Depends. I'm just going by what I would do in my situation. Over $1 million, you need to pay off the house, stash money for your children, stash college funds. You need all of that. This is stuff they're not talking about. When you see all this aesthetic and trad wife, yeah, they don't do. Are they telling you guys what they have in plan? What they have planned out in case of? No. They're just doing it for the oohs and ahs. Go listen to the TikToks of the women who have been through divorce, who were truly trad wives with nothing, who literally dropped out of school. Go listen to that Mormon lady story. That shit was sickening. Like nothing. That's why I can't complain too much because listen, a man will leave you, you'll get divorced. You know what won't divorce? Your degree. Your degree won't divorce you. That's yours forever. Forever. That's what I'm teaching my kids. Education. I'm teaching my kids even now. Don't pick no stupid degree either. Don't go freaking major in fucking Asian, African, Antarctican studies. Make sure you get a degree where you can just hop in. You've been out of it for a few years because I was out like full time for like a few years. Make sure you can just get back in there. I've had to step down in my role because another thing with my ex-husband, he sabotaged my career. Listen, when I tell you a couple of years ago, I took a huge pay cut, $20,000 because he would not stay home during the night shift with the kids anymore. This was during our divorce. So I had to step down in my role and switch my shift and spend more money. Remember, I said I can go pick up my kids. They didn't need after school because I worked night shifts. Well, I went to losing $20K deduction in my salary, and also my expenses went up because then my toddler, who was not in preschool, I had to enroll her in preschool while I worked, and I had to enroll my other two kids in after school program. When I tell you God is good, I went through all that, y'all, and he stopped paying everything. I paid that all by myself. God is good, y'all. God is good. God is so good. He kept me through it. He kept me. And all thanks to number one, the Most High God, but also thanks to my parents who instilled education in me. And thanks to the healthcare field for the flexibility. That's what helped me sustain. I can't express, y'all. I have 3 kids in private school. Money is tight, but I'm good. I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm okay without any help from their dad. Nothing. He refuses. I'm okay. God is good. But there are other women in worse scenarios. That's why this is what I always tell people. Get into the healthcare system. Do any menial job. They will fucking pay school for you. Get into healthcare, work, I don't know, cafeteria, custodian, front desk, patient advocate, anything. We all are entitled to the same tuition reimbursement, no matter what your level is. So I've given people the advice, get in anywhere and then go to school. Learn, they have what do you call it? X-ray technician. They're coming up. Surgical tech, medical tech. I mean, y'all, If you don't want to do nursing, nursing is number one. But there's other allied health professionals as well. The options are endless. Go to school for that. If you don't have student loans, get student loans. Go to a community college. Get your prerequisites. Some hospitals are paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for tuition reimbursement. Work your way up. Get an ADN degree. That's the associate nursing. I think it's ADN. Listen, y'all, this is what I tell people. I tell people all the time. Healthcare is the most flexible. And then later on, and I tell my kids too later on, listen, do this, do that, a good solid job, lawyer, doctor, engineer, whatever, because you know how us Caribbeans do. After that, go do what you want. But establish a foundation first. Ladies, establish a foundation before marriage. Set out a plan. I know we don't get married with the intention of divorcing, but it always has to be in the back of your mind. You never know what will happen. And I wish I knew then what I knew now. I never would have thought in a million years. In a million years. But you know what? As you live, you learn and you do better. So this whole trad wife thing, it's a sham. It's a scam because half of these trad wives, listen, their husbands are rich already. Like, are you kidding me? And they're making money already. That's why they're on TikTok showing their ass. They're making a ton of money on TikTok. So that money is, they'll be fine with that money alone. They're bamboozling y'all. It's a hot mess. Anyway, that's it. I'm sorry I got a little personal, but I have to share. I have to share and inspire people. And I just want people to learn from my mistakes, from my experiences. I want people to do better and to flourish. So let me know what you guys think. Who's a trad wife? I'm not shitting on all trad wives. Some people, it works. Some people are truly stay at home trad wives who have a loving husband. I'm not talking to y'all. Y'all scored the jackpot. Y'all scored the jackpot. You have a loving husband. Kudos. You chose well. But a lot of us thought we were, and they turn. People change in marriage. That's why the vows say, but for better or for worse. But sometimes the worse can be a matter of life and death. And remember, we have children, a lot of us. You cannot risk that. So I choose life. Let's choose life. Here's to life, y'all. Cheers to my wine. Good night.